process of losing 80 pounds, I instituted a daily 6-mile walk. In this video, I'm going to show you how I got into this habit. Back when I was obese and I was trying to lose weight, I thought that I had to do some sort of really intense exercise in order to lose weight. And I was actually doing a lot of that. I was doing CrossFit. Eventually I got into powerlifting. I was lifting really heavy weights. But by doing that, I actually ended up hurting my back. And because of that injury, I couldn't do those intense exercises for quite some time. So I ended up needing to just walk as my form of exercise. I was very convinced that I needed to do some form of exercise in order to lose weight. And that's how I came to the idea of walking 6 miles a day. I saw an article that said, hey, if you want to lose weight, you need to move 3 miles a day. And I thought, well, I think I have a slow metabolism and I've got a lot of weight to lose. So I'm going to walk 6 miles a day. And I had a Fitbit at the time. And so I just gave myself the goal of getting 14,000 steps a day, which was 6 miles based on my stride length. So first, let's talk about the gear. Now, this is one place where you can be as fancy or as simple as you want to be. But there are some things that I would highly recommend. The first one is some sort of tracker. Now, in the beginning, I started out with a Fitbit, which I really loved, but they're kind of pricey for what you get. And after going through 2 rather pricey Fitbits, I decided to go with a Zaruru, which I found on Amazon for like 30 bucks. And I've been very pleased with it. However, I will say that in the beginning, I really needed a lot of motivation to do the 6 miles, and the Fitbit had badges, like these little digital badges that they gave you when you achieved, various length goals and stuff. And so that was really motivating, and that really helped me. So you may want to, look at that before you buy yours. You can also use your phone as a pedometer, but there are a couple of drawbacks. The main one being that you have to remember to have it in your pocket in order for it to count your steps. And also, if you forget to charge it like I do, then you're going to have to sit there and wait for your phone to charge before you can get your steps in. Now, if you really don't like the idea of having a tracker or using your phone, you can also just measure distances and find, what's something that's 3 miles away and then walk to that and walk back, or find a loop that you can measure the distance for, and do that loop however many times you need to get to the 6 miles. But the thing about the tracker is it just makes it so much more convenient because it's just tracking all your steps as you go through the day, which is helpful because, there might be some times where you don't have a big chunk of time to go for a walk, but you can get little breaks here and there, where you get, 1,000 here, 1,000 there. It just makes things a lot simpler. The next thing you need is some clothes. So, what I like to do is just wear some comfortable t-shirts, athletic shorts. I sometimes do walk-in jeans and a nicer kind of shirt, depending on what my day is like. That's the great thing about walking. You don't have to, get into your workout gear in order to do it, but it is nice if you're just comfortable. Make sure if the weather gets cold, you've got some sweatpants and a sweatshirt or something like that. Now let's talk about footwear. Actually, my preferred way to walk is outside barefoot. That's my absolute favorite way to do it. But I generally do wear shoes and I usually go outside for my walk. Although in the beginning, I was walking inside, getting 6 miles a day inside my house, usually in one room, my bedroom, and just walking from the head of the bed down to the foot of the bed, over to the other side, and then up to that side of the head of the bed, and then just making that U over and over and over again. And I would get 6 miles that way. But these days, I generally like to go outside and be out in the sunshine. And since I'm walking on asphalt and sidewalks, I need some shoes for that. I really like getting shoes, just regular walking tennis shoes with a rubbery kind of bottom. There are a lot of shoes nowadays that have like this white sole and they're kind of slick. But when you're outside, sometimes the weather is kind of rainy or just wet and you don't want to be falling down. So nice rubbery soles are good. It doesn't have to be something expensive, just whatever fits your foot that feels comfortable. Now let's talk about the time that you're going to need in order to walk 6 miles a day. Now this is a very individual thing. Some people walk faster and some people walk slower. I am in the slow camp. I like to go for a nice, relaxing walk. I don't like speed walking. I walk at a pace of about 3 miles per hour, which is a nice pace that you can walk and have conversations very easily. So that means that I need to walk for about 2 hours a day in order to get my steps in. And I want to say up front, if you're thinking, well, I don't have time to do that, I'm going to let you in on a secret. Nobody has time to walk 6 miles a day. You make time to walk 6 miles a day. When you say yes to 6 miles a day, you have to say no to some other things in your life. Once I started walking 6 miles a day, it actually helped me to have more time in my day. I know that sounds really crazy, but it was true. I had to learn how to start making my time count. I learned how much time I was spending just doing things that kind of wasted a lot of my time. For example, spending a lot of time on the computer looking at Facebook or looking at Pinterest or, just watching TV. And these days, I actually feel like I don't have time not to walk my 6 miles because of how productive it makes me. The final thing that you need in order to start walking 6 miles a day is you need to know why you're doing this. It's basically a mental game and not so much a physical challenge. You really need to be able to explain to yourself why this is important to you. Now, for me, it was important in the beginning because I thought, well, I have to do some sort of exercise in order to lose weight. Over time, that has changed for me. Now I do it because I have seen with my own eyes how much it has improved my mental health. It gave me a way to process emotions. It gave me something to do other than stressy. So many times when I was overweight, I would just go have a snack. But now when I feel upset, I go outside and get some more steps in. And for me, it's just a daily victory that I know that I can get. And that's made it so that no matter how bad my day is otherwise, I can still say to myself, yeah, but I did walk 6 miles a day, and that really helps. So what does this actually look like in real life? So back in 2016, when I got very consistent with this, I told myself, okay, I need to walk 6 miles a day, 7 days a week, no excuses. My only excuse is if I am so sick that I cannot get out of bed, and that's it. Otherwise, I'm getting my steps in. And sometimes I would look up at the clock and I would think, oh no, I've got, basically 2 hours of walking to do, and I am going to have to just walk and walk and walk until midnight. And that's exactly what I would do. I would, just walk back and forth in my living room and I would get those steps in. As time went on though, I started learning my lesson and realizing okay, I need to get out for a walk sometime during the day. And over time, I got better about getting into a routine where I, could get, a certain number of steps in, usually by a certain time during the day. And I just fell into a routine. Although it was helpful to me to stay flexible because there were some days where it really worked better to have one big long walk and get that out of the way because I had other things to do during the other parts of the day where I knew I wouldn't be able to, get up and get many steps in. Other times it was really helpful to just get in, like 1,000 here, 1,000 there, 1,000 here, 1,000 there, and then maybe have like one kind of dedicated walk that I went on to get several thousand steps. My general routine these days though is I go for a walk where I get about 5,000 steps in the earlier part of the morning. And then I do some more work, more writing, and then I go out for a longer walk after like noon sometime. So generally I've hit 14,000 steps by say about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then anything I get past that, which generally is not very much, maybe 1,000 extra steps sometimes, depending on how much, housework I'm doing or how much reading I'm doing. Like I said, I used to do this 7 days a week, but several years ago, I decided, I really want to have a day off every week. And so Sundays, I don't have a step goal. I will go for walks if I want to, but it's not something that I have a goal for. And every year I recommit to this goal of walking 6 miles a day, 6 days a week. So if you're looking to get started with a 6 mile a day habit, I would encourage you to first of all, start small. Like right now, if you've never been getting any steps in consistently ever, then see where you're at. See where you're starting at. Just, strap on a tracker and see how many steps you normally get during the day. You might be the type of person who gets a ton in just naturally. Or you might be like me and you barely break 1,000 unless you really try. And then work your way up to more and more steps. Also, during the day, when you're getting your steps in, feel free to take breaks. It can actually make you more productive when you sit down, rest, and really let yourself get rested and then get up and get more. Also, remember to go at a pace you enjoy. The name of the game here is to do something that you're going to stick with for the long haul. And if you are trying to force yourself to do something you really don't enjoy, you're going to have a hard time sticking with it. And since walking 6 miles a day is such a mental game, the real challenge is going to be to excuse-proof yourself. I did this by learning that I could just walk inside. So on those days where the weather's bad, or it's really late at night and I need to be getting my steps in, or whatever it is, you can always get them in inside, and you don't need any kind of special equipment. Remember, it does take a chunk of time, so you have to decide what you're willing to say no to in order to accomplish this daily task. I'll let you in on a secret. There are some days where I really don't want to get my steps in, where I feel lazy and I just don't want to do it. But I know that I will feel better if I go on my walk. On those days, I bribe myself. So I'll do something like, you know, flip on a movie and I'll walk back and forth in the room where the movie's on, just so I can, you know, get myself to do it. I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one.